Welcome to another edition of Fourth and Pain, the only football and pro wrestling show to be hosted by an NFL player and a weight loss champion. Redskins defensive end Adam Carriker to my left.
We are Fourth and Pain, and we just may very well be the greatest radio internet show that ever lived.
Damn straight, I agree. Former wrestling announcer, weight loss champion Chuck Carroll here. New Fourth and Pain each and every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern. If you're not following us on Twitter at Fourth and Pain, you're missing out. Adam, a huge guest on the line. I always get excited when we have this guy on because he knows as much about football as I pretend to and almost as much as you. Very excited about this to welcome back to the show Austin Aries. Austin, how are you, man?
Hey, what's going on, guys? How's everyone doing? Glad to be back here, man. Football season's about to kick off.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that. I know that you have your hands full. Adam, you're getting ready. You're going to make a comeback second half of the year. And you were telling us a little bit before we started rolling tape that your fantasy draft just completed. You've got a couple of interesting picks in there. So we're going to get to that in a little bit. But I know, Adam, you're chomping at the bit to start this thing off with a little wrestling.
Well, let's ask a couple of wrestling questions. We're going to kind of mix the football and the wrestling here to begin with, then we'll get straight into the wrestling. I want to know which TNA wrestler would make the best pro football player and why?
Wow.
Boy, that's an interesting question. Well, you know what? I got to go with my boy Kenny King. I don't know if it's too well known. He actually he played college football at, I believe, Central Florida and was actually a decent prospect as a safety. So I think he might be a guy that athletically could maybe actually match up to some of the guys in the NFL. Outside of that, of course, I'm always going to put myself over and say I'm sure I could carve out a little niche as some kind of Danny Woodhead type of scat back that can do a few different things. And other guys, maybe a Samoa Joe. I'm trying to think of guys that have those physical attributes because to make it to the NFL, man, like you've got to be in an upper echelon physically of what you can do and have the size or at least the attitude to be able to push through. So off the top of my head, I'd give it to those few guys.
Okay, I like that. We'll switch on to just a little bit more pure wrestling. And I'm going to ask you a question. I love to ask guys when we interview WWE guys. We're asking about TNA guys. You're a TNA guy. So I want to know, as a TNA guy, who from WWE would be your dream crossover match if it were to happen?
My dream crossover match in the WWE. Well, some of the guys right now that I know other people would pick, CM Punk and Daniel Bryan, are guys that I've actually had the honor of wrestling before many times. Obviously we were both all in Ring of Honor at one point and having a chance to all compete with each other and grow as performers, which was special. So I'm trying to think of guys who I haven't had the opportunity. A guy that comes to my head off the bat, so a guy like Chris Jericho, who I think has a similar
Everybody
style.
says that.
Yeah.
People love
And then, of
Jericho.
course, at the end of the day, I mean, let's be honest. I'd love to get in there with The Rock. I'd love to get in there with Stone Cold Steve Austin. I'd love to get in there with Brock Lesnar. I'd like to get in there with John Cena. Basically any big name that would be on the top of the card, because that's honestly where I feel I belong and would love that opportunity to prove it.
If you had to pick one name, you gave us a lot of names. Pick one name. Who would be your one name?
I don't know, man. You know what? I'm a weird dude like that. I don't have like a favorite anything. I've got like a group of things I like and then stuff I don't like. I don't know if there's just one. I really don't know. If I could pick any guy in the, man, I can't narrow it down for you. I can't. Whoever it is, I want Bobby Heenan as my manager. That's all I know.
Oh, I love that.
You gotta love Bobby
that.
Heenan.
So I don't
Bobby
care who it
Heenan.
is, but Heenan's got to be in my corner. Then I'm happy. Then it could be anybody.
I love that. Now we've heard that AJ Styles' contract is going to be up in a month. I'm curious what would happen because he tweeted out, he's got many options: Ring of Honor, Japan, WWE. My question is, what would happen? What would be the ramifications to TNA if he were to jump to your biggest competitor, which is WWE?
And that's news to me. I wasn't aware. I don't know if there'd be a huge impact. I mean, I think one thing that both companies and really any successful company has is you need to have depth, and football teams are the same way. And if a guy goes down, a guy's got to step up. And if AJ Styles will leave, really the only place that he's been in his career where he's really made his name. You know what? I think there'd be guys that would be able to step up and fill that void. That being said, anytime you lose a guy as talented as AJ, who has that passion, that dedication for what he does, it's always gonna weaken you a little bit. But I'm pretty confident that at some point everybody's replaceable. We've seen it time and time again in wrestling, and it's not disrespecting AJ when I say that. Hey, he falls in that category like everybody else. I mean, we've seen some of the biggest names jump other places, and hopefully that's all hypothetical. Hopefully that gets hammered out, and AJ continues his amazing career at a place that he helped build, and that's TNA Impact Wrestling. So I know that everybody there would like to see him stay and continue to have a successful career there. But at the end of the day, he's got to do whatever's best for him and his family, and support him in that decision.
Now, let's talk a little football.
Yeah, we got to. Speaking with Austin Aries from TNA Wrestling, and of course that means we're going to be talking about football. One of the most knowledgeable guys in all of wrestling when it comes to pro football. And just before we started rolling on this interview, you were telling us a little bit, Austin, about your fantasy draft this year and your quarterback situation. Who is your quarterback?
Well, I had a couple guys targeted. I think along the lines of a lot of people this year was, I think Andrew Luck's a guy who could have a breakout season. Also is mobile and will run the ball from time to time. It's not his bread and butter, obviously. And then the guys like the Kaepernick, Russell Wilson, RG3 trio, which are dual threat quarterbacks, which in my league particularly is an advantage. So those are the guys that I had my eyes on, but they went really quick. Real fast, and so I was kind of left with my plan C, my option C, as it were, which I'm kind of familiar with. But I went with Michael Vick, and I think again I like dual threat quarterbacks, guys that can get out of the pocket and maybe give you some extra points on the ground. And he's a guy that can do it. Got a new offense installed. They want to keep the pace up. They're going to spread it out a little bit, which I think is going to help Vick. And I think maybe you could have a pretty solid year. And to get him as late as I did, I was able to, get some other positions of strength. And so if he pans out, I think I'm in a good position. If not, I nabbed up EJ Manuel for my bench, another guy who can move on the ground. And when he gets healthy, I think he could surprise people kind of like Cam Newton and RG3 did their rookie years.
Well, Vic is your main quarterback in your fantasy draft, but I know that you're a big Packers fan, and Aaron Rodgers is on that team. So that leads to this question. Give me your top 3 quarterbacks in order 3, 2, 1, best quarterbacks in the NFL. Try to be a little objective.
Well, I mean, obviously I think there's that group of 4, and that's Breeze, Brady, Manning, Rodgers. And I think you're splitting hairs. I really think people understate maybe what Peyton Manning's done, because to go from one system for as long as he was and to be as comfortable, and that really, the quarterbacks who have that advantage of staying in a system and really getting to know it, knowing their reads and their checkdowns, and those are the guys who can be the most productive. That's why Tom Brady's been successful. That's why Aaron Rodgers was successful. He had an opportunity to learn that system. And for Peyton Manning to jump to a different system, a different team with new receivers and still be as effective as he was, I think just really cements him as being one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, especially kind of in that side, talking about the injury he was coming back from. So I think those are the top 4. I think you're splitting hairs as you try to divide them. They've all proven they're winners. And right now, there's a new kind of crop, a new generation of some potential, all-pro Hall of Fame type quarterbacks, the guys that we previously were talking about. So quarterback position, honestly, I think is as strong as it's been, because you have that mix of these new potential superstars and these 4 guys who've kind of cemented their legacy. So but that would be my answer. That's the 4.
Final question for you before we let you ask Adam the final question. And this is before kickoff, before anything. I want to get your Super Bowl prediction right now. Which of the 32 teams hoisting the Lombardi Trophy come February?
Redskins.
Boy.
Yeah, man. We need this in 20 seconds or less now.
All right. I'm going to go coming out of the AFC. Can I swear? I just did.
That's all right.
Well, we'll bleep that. Don't worry.
Coming out of the NFC, I got to go with my Packers just because he has the homer pick, but it's not like it's unfathomable. I think with their improved offensive output on the ground, I think it's going to open up their overall game. I think their defense is going to surprise some people. You know what? Coming out of the AFC, I mean, listen, a lot of people are counting the Ravens out. I don't know. And then I think maybe the Bengals could be a surprise team. But at the end of the day, I'm going to go with the Patriots, only because of all the teams. I think that they're going to find a way to get it done just because they've been there before. So I'll pick the Patriots and the Packers, and I'll pick the Packers by 8 points in the Super Bowl.
Austin Aries from Impact Wrestling. Final question is yours for Adam Carriker. Your chance to ask him anything.
Yeah, man, and when you get back on the field, man, I think that's all I really want to know. Like, how's everything going with you and getting back to what you do best?
That is honestly all I care about at this point, too. Second half of the season, I go to rehab twice a day, and then I rehab twice a day, things they told me to do at home. It adds up to about 6-7 hours a day with an hour and a half workout in there. So, I mean, I'm busting my balls. I'm busting my tail. I'm going to be back. I'm sad I'm going to miss that Packers game. We play you guys' second game of the year. I'm sad I'm going to miss that. I wanted to talk trash to you and Mr. Anderson, but I won't have that opportunity.
Man. Well, maybe we should go catch the game or something. Let's get some tickets. We'll just go take it in, and we'll talk trash while we're just sitting on the sidelines.
That is a marvelous idea.
I like
that. Glorious.
Yeah, and then come back on the show and tell lies.
There we go. When the Redskins win.
You probably got better ins on tickets than I do, so I'll leave it up to you, but I'm in.
Okay. All right. We'll see what we can do.
Austin Aries from Impact Wrestling. Thanks for joining us, man.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it, man. Always a lot of fun.
This is Fourth and Pain. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.